Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to sneak in one last heroic super guide before Kobolds and Catacombs comes out. And that is the heroic super guide for Lady Naz'jar from the League of Explorers. How to beat her in heroic mode with every single hero class and even a deck of basic and common cards only. Now there isn't a lot of rocket science to constructing these decks. You basically just want to put in minions that spawn other minions and get lucky. I really dislike this fight. There's a lot of RNG in terms of, she might upgrade her 2-mana thing into a 1/1 while you do into a 4/4, and more often, in my case, vice versa. Doomsayers hurt you more than her, unfortunately. Yeah, she obviously has the advantage because she's getting the extra sort of mana increase on minions, other than a bug we'll talk about near the end. But yeah, basically you just want to summon minions that summon other minions. Things like pantry spiders sometimes become good, because if those both survive, you get them both turned into, hopefully, chunky 3-drops, and if you get lucky and her drops are not that good, you get to trade in favorably. The one thing that helps you out a bit, given that she's upgrading the mana cost of her minions, is that they essentially have summoning, like you get to attack first after the morph happens, which can let you make the favorable trades to like clear out her minions and take advantage of which ones are weak, etc. Bear in mind when you make trades, if you have a choice between killing minions, in normal Hearthstone you want to kill basically the highest health one or the most threatening one. In this, you also want to take into account their mana cost. If she has 2 1/3s and one of them's a 1-drop and one of them's a 3-drop, you kill the 3-drop because that's going to become a 4-drop next turn if it lives, whereas the other one's only going to become a 2-drop next turn if it lives. So that becomes as important, maybe even more important, than sort of how currently threatening the minions look. Let's look at some concrete decks. First off, for Druid, we'll get into a bunch of the tools we use. One of them is running a Bloodsail Corsair to get out of patches, just to immediately get you 2/1s on the board. If those live, you at least have some minions that can start doing some trading, clear her minions to prevent them from continuing to snowball. Living Roots does a similar effect. In this deck, I experimented with running a Hungry Crab and Galactic Crawler, trying to get lucky, sort of, if she happens to spawn a Pirate or a Murloc, but probably not the best strategy. As we said, you just run a lot of minions to spawn other minions. So, Balefine Tidehunters, Echoing Oozers, Murloc Tidehunters, Pantry Spiders, even Razorfen Hunter makes the cut. Arcanismith is pretty nice because if she doesn't have enough attack on board to kill the 5 health taunt, you basically get both of those minions upgraded, and it can protect your other minions that you are trying to keep alive. So it's actually a pretty good tech card in this. Barnes just gets you out an extra 1/1 that, if it lives, might be a higher mana minion that then gets upgraded. Doppelgangster for obvious reasons. Now this is sort of, it only works once you're ahead. If you play it out when you're behind, he'll just kill the 2/2s easily. The idea is if you're ahead, you get these out, and if she can't kill them, you suddenly have three real 5-drops and can really take over full control of the board. Scenario is sort of your late game finisher. Jade Behemoths, again, just things that spawn you other minions, leave minions behind, etc. Swipe is what you're relying on for AoE, and a Mind Control tech can also come in handy, because often she'll swarm the board with lots of these little, mirror entities and stuff, where it helps to just steal something. It's another way of essentially spawning something good. Most of the decks will use very similar themes. In this, again, we have, Tidehunters, Oozers, Razorfen Hunters, Arcanosmith, Barnes, Doppelgangster. I'm going to not sort of call these out in every single deck we look at. Some other things which I put in more of the other decks are Imp Masters, pretty nice because they can keep spawning if they live a bit, and the health is pretty meaty to at least survive. I guess it won't keep spawning because it will get transformed. And Big Time Racketeers are great because the 1/1's flimsy, but if it lives, you get 2 big minions, kind of like a Doppelgangster effect. Coda Rider is another nice one that I'll put into a lot. You're kind of looking to play that on 8 to get the hero power off, which gives you 2 big things which can get upgraded. Other tools that are hunter specific, Alley Cat, kind of like Living Roots, just getting 2 minions out on board. Piranha Launcher, a way to help you sort of control the board with your weapon while just getting extra minions out that, if you get lucky, can get, you know, translated into 1/3s or stuff that help you trade. Ram Wrangler, again, a way to summon a beast. You can get super lucky, you know, with like King Crush or something, or High Mane, but you obviously, you know, there's a wide range. Silverhand Knight, another simple utility one, and Call of the Wild's a good way to get a few minions on board that also can do some trading immediately. My Mage deck used many of the same tools. The ones that are a bit different here are Abusive Sergeants. I started putting in some of these decks because they help you trade up, because she does have the advantage of sort of spawning higher cost minions. If you can get your lower ones or just your duds to trade into her sort of good ones, that can help you still keep control of the board. Otherwise, tools we've seen that spawn other minions, Silverhand Knight's in there again, Faceless Summoner, a good mage-specific one, and Kel'Thuzad, another one that I put in these decks every now and then because you're often really fighting with a lot of trading. If you can get Kel'Thuzad down, do a bunch of trading, but get all your board back while cleaning up most of her board, then you can finally start taking control. Paladin again runs many of the same tools, the Paladin specific ones, and it does have some good ones. Lust in the Jungle is your living roots of Paladin essentially. Equality is really good if you do have some, you know, cheap guys out. She's upgraded into big guys. You can equality and get off, you know, you get rid of those super expensive minions she has and keep a few out yourself is the dream. Muster for battle, great value to get 3 1/1s out and have a weapon to help you get some favorable trades. And lastly, Vine Cleaver, like Piranha Launcher, but even better, a meaty weapon that'll kill several of her minions while getting out, you know, progressively 6 1/1 minions that can, you know, eventually you're waiting for them to trade into something handy like a 1/3 that helps you clean up other stuff. Priest is more of the same. The priest-specific tools are Shadow Word Pains. Holy Novas act as your AoE to help clean up her board. And Herald Village is a nice one if you can pull it off. You get a bunch of 1/1s, but with the mana cost of the original, so if they don't get cleared up, and she might not think they're a big threat compared to the other copies, you get a big board of sort of meaty minions. Other than pumping the same theme of minions that summon other minions, the rogue-specific tools are Fan of Knives for some AoE that also draws you a card, and card draw is a bit of a weakness of these decks, I must admit. I put very little in, because you just like can't really afford to not be plopping down minions every turn. Dark Eye and Skulker, another form of AoE to help clean up her board or help with favorable trades at least while getting, you know, a decent mana minion out. Otherwise, similar tools to what we've talked about. Again, the same theme with Shaman. We've managed to sneak in a Firefly, which just a lone one, which will also act as an activator for Calamos to be able to do a board wipe to her or heal to you if you're low on life. Very important. Things from below, once you get a bunch of totems out, you can get this out for very cheap. Primal Fin totems in there. You have your, what's it called? Tuskar Totemic gets another totem out. So you have a few totem generating tools, which can let you drop very cheap things from below. And you also have Maelstrom Portal to help with that early game. Often she'll flood the board with, you know, Tiny Fins and Mirror Entities. And when these get upgraded, there might be a bunch of 1/1s. This can be very valuable for helping wipe those out. You know, you traded to kill one that lived or whatever, and you also got an extra 1 drop from the process. The deck I beat her with at the time, as has been the case for the last few, was basically Handlock. I went in with a straight Handlock, and if I recall correctly, what saved me to a large degree was having Molten Giants that don't actually get replaced by her hero power, as in they keep their taunt. So if you can get Molten Giants out and taunt them up with your Sun Furies, or your Defender of Arguses, they actually don't get transformed because there are no other 25 health minions in the game. So they will keep their taunt, which is very helpful for just staying alive, and basically her minions have to march into that. She doesn't get to keep these things that keep upgrading. It's basically standard Handlock back in the day. There's a bunch of AoE between your Hellfires, your Shadow Flames. You can get some big minions out like Twilight Drake. but it doesn't actually help all that much. Well, it doesn't help that much sort of whether it's 10 health or 8 health. As long as it doesn't die, it's going to get transformed anyway. Your belchers just help you sort of basically prevent damage to your face while you're trying to catch up on the board. If you can get a big swing with, you know, Molten Giant, Shadow Flame, and then get some other nice things out. Ancient Watch actually proves very valuable. This is actually a theme I could have put into... Never mind. I was thinking it could be good in general because it gets sort of safely transformed without dying, but it loses the benefit of sort of having good stats, so debatable. Anyway, that's the deck I beat her with at the time. On to the next one. Warrior is one of the stronger decks to take her on with, and that's largely because of Naz'jar's First Mate, pulling patches and giving you a weapon. So good to be able, you know, immediately clear out one of her mirror entities on turn 1. Those first few turns are just so important. If you get super behind there, it's really hard to catch up because she keeps pumping out these minions that keep growing into bigger and bigger threats, sort of disproportionately to the amount of mana you have. You know, if you let her do nothing for 6 turns, you're not going to be able to flame strike that board. You're going to have minions that are just totally out of control. So yeah, Naz'jar's First Mate, we do include an Abusive Sergeant to be able to buff for favorable trades, Revengers to help you with clearing out her board, Deathspite does the same thing while killing, and we do include Grim Patrons because of its ability. If you're getting off a Whirlwind effect with it, or sort of Deathspite, Death Rattle, you get to spawn, you know, a couple of Grim Patrons, if you're really lucky, maybe up to 4, and then those all, you know, the ones that survive get upgraded into 5 drops. That can be a big swing. And in the case of Warrior, I also put in the one, the only, the Deathwing, the emergency button to clear out everything she has if it's getting really threatening. And you do tend to be pretty low on cards with this deck, to be honest. Reset the board to having a nice big 10 drop out that will stay a 10 drop and be able to bide you more time, or go face if you've got her a little bit low in the process. And Warrior is the class I stuck to for building a deck of common and basic cards only to take her out. Now, it's funny what happened when I actually came to trying to defeat her with basic and common cards only. I came back to it after doing all the others a few months later. There's actually a bug where Lady Naz'jar would make my minions 1 mana stronger and leave hers the same mana cost, which meant it was trivial to beat her because you have the huge advantage building up on her. It became a lot easier. I did, however, they fixed this bug in a later patch, and before doing this video, I actually went back and verified that this deck could beat her without the bug, and that's what you're seeing the screenshot of. And I actually verified because I'm pretty sure when I went through it the first time with all the other classes I covered, there wasn't that bug, but I went through and won with all of those again anyway, just to verify, yes, these decks can beat her. It's definitely 100% for sure, not that I beat her while this bug was happening. Alright, so onto the deck itself. It's the same theme as before, but you don't have all those great tools you did in the when you could have access to rare, epics, etc. Which makes it a lot harder. You need to keep pummeling it and pummeling it until you get really lucky, until you get a good draw, you get your Naz'jar's First Mate out. You're not going to pull patches with it, but you know, you need to get lucky where she bricks on a couple of upgrades, gets like 1/1s for 2 mana or 3 mana, and you get like a Millhouse or something pretty favorable. What we do have is we still have the minions we can put in which summon other minions like Pantry Spider, Murloc Tidehunter. We have more of minions which do a bit of damage to the other side to help you maintain that board, hopefully with a Rusty Hook. So Flame Juggler, Cruel Taskmaster, Blowgill Sniper, Elven Archers even, the Abusive Sergeants to help you trade up, Fireflies to get good early board presence, Ravaging Ghoul to help clear out his board, Arathi Weaponsmith, a really good value common to be able to get a body on board and a weapon that helps you clear, Blood Razors to help you clear out her board and again trade, and Grim Necromancer, you do summon 2 minions with this, which can be pretty nice if they do live for starting to sort of pump up your board a bit. Bone Mare, the big value one that we have from Frozen Throne that we can add in. If you do have minions alive, you can help keep them alive, you know, force him to trade things into it, and you still have, you know, this will get transformed into a 7-drop if it lives, to become more threatening in and of itself. It's hard work, like I said. You'll need to try it a bunch of times. In general, I really dislike this encounter. It's not exactly hard, it's just like very RNG dependent. With this deck of basic and common cards, it definitely is hard. You'll need to keep pummeling it until you get lucky, but it gives you the tools you need where when luck finally does go your way, as you can see, you can take out Heroic Lady Naz'jar even with the super budget deck. Hope you have luck with it if you're still to try it. See you next time, and enjoy Kobolds and Catacombs.